deal with the current environmental challenges, business as usual is not enough. We need transformational change. What does that mean?
Welcome to the Sustainability Institute. And if leadership was really about transformation, then what was it that needed to transform? It wasn't just our country becoming a brand new democracy. It was a transformation at a profoundly social level, at an individual level. And then very rapidly it was quite clear, long before people started talking about this word sustainability, that it was transformation at an environmental level.
Everybody eats what we plant, so us included, so it's great.
What the kind of practices that we were involved in that rooted us in a conventional approach, either to technologies or to each other, it was all of these that had to transform at the same time. And so the idea of an institute was really just a space for learning, first of all, and then around the needs of children. And that if we were thinking about what children and future generations were really going to be in terms of alternative futures, then we might start figuring out how we engaged each other at a social level and how we built what technologies we were going to use if we were creating a kind of community that was able to take on challenges of poverty, of food security, of land reform, of starvation, and of the environmental limitations that we found ourselves. So in a sense, it was an ecological exploration. We've actually been part of writing up the provincial growth and development strategy for our Western Cape. We've also been part of the national conversation on a sustainable development framework, and we've written up for our province the Sustainable Human Settlements Strategy. And so I think that provincial and national government see us positively and as playing a role, both on a strategic and policy level, but only because it's informed by practice.
Of course.
That's, I think, has the key, and that is the difference. The practice, but also the engagement of ecology and social justice, ecology and equity, poverty. I think that's been something that we've been able to play a role.
This institute networks knowledge for transformational change. CEC worked on strengthening capacities to communicate the Environmental Convention.
I'm David Ainsworth, and I'm a program officer at the Secretariat of the Convention on Biological Diversity, and I work in Montreal, Canada. Communicating the goals of international environmental agreements, like the Convention, poses quite a big challenge to governments. Not only do they have to translate broad legal principles into action, also, they really need to bring about transformational changes, and that requires a whole new set of communication skills. Faced with this challenge, parties to the Convention on Biological Diversity began to develop a program of work on communication, education, and public awareness. This program has as a goal to find ways to mainstream the idea of biodiversity into educational programs, into public awareness campaigns, and into a variety of communication tools. We here at the Secretariat, we asked the CEC to be our partner in developing this toolkit. We've found them to be one of the best partners to do so because the CEC represents a global knowledge network. And we were impressed that here is someone who reaches across the globe, spanning continents and regions, and yet has connections at the local level. Members of the CEC are people who have been in the field, working with people right on the ground to communicate the importance of conserving and sustainably using biodiversity. For environmental conventions like the Convention on Biological Diversity, the CEC is an important partner. It's our international knowledge network on biodiversity and working in the field. The Convention on Biological Diversity is a really wide-ranging multilateral environmental agreement. It encompasses everything. Biodiversity is the variety of life on Earth. For this reason, it's a big task, And for this reason, we need partners. And we have found in the CEC a very important partner, someone who can help us understand what goes on in the fields, what goes on in the protected areas of the world, and can help us communicate that all the way from policymakers at the local level right up to the decision makers who attend our international conferences. Partnership is the core of implementation of the Convention on Biological Diversity. And in that, the CEC is a really firm foundation for that core.
In partnership with UNEP, CEC helped to introduce environmental citizenship to consumers, local authorities, politicians, community groups, media, churches, and schools in Latin America.
Creo que el rol de la UCN y la Comisión han sido absolutamente efectivos en ejecutar algunos proyectos que han tenido resultados palpables. Las réplicas interesantes es poder trabajar desde los gobiernos locales, desde acerca de los municipios, sus iglesias, comunidades, juntas parroquiales, buscando proyectos básicamente comunitarios, donde insertas un componente socioeconómico que busca un efectivo efecto de conservación. Recordemos que comunidades como las ecuatorianas, donde hay un alto sentido de religiosidad, sobre todo católico, nosotros escuchamos mucho como buenos feligreses lo que demanda o solicita nuestro cura de nuestra parroquia.
Pero que sí tenemos es un mandato desde Génesis capítulo 1, donde Dios nos pide que preservemos su creación.
Through the World Conservation Learning Network, CEC supports networking of universities to multiply professional updating for conservation and sustainable development.
This conference is our biannual congress, and this year the theme of the congress is Sustainable Futures.
Since Bangkok, regional networks were established in Mesoamerica, Middle East, Oceania and South Africa.
The scientists are well equipped to do their job, but it's the way in which society behaves that is the problem. And therefore the network must focus a lot on that, changing behavior of practitioners that are not scientists, but that are really utilizing the environment towards the benefit of society.
Of course we need the information, but in fact the motivation and the incentive and the capacity, those are so much more critical.
The WCLN is an essential vehicle for that, a platform from which that can happen.
Yeah, that's CC, you know.